Morning, everyone. It's the 15th of the 7th, 25. I did a small talk just a few days back. It did go for longer, but something happened with my phone. I'm the first one to admit I'm not very tech savvy by all means. I think I did about a 20-minute chat and only 5 or 6 minutes went through, and I don't know what happened to the rest. So something to do with the clouds in the sky and, Anyway, I didn't get on to talk about that, but it's one thing I don't understand. I've been running really rough this last 4 or 5 weeks. I haven't spoken much because I feel really exposed, but not just that. And I know, I said it in my last talk that I feel very unappreciated and quite insignificant in my own chat. And I'm not expecting, standing ovations and a zillion likes or anything as such. But sometimes just to be acknowledged, it can go a long way. It really can go a long way. The best analogy I could find for me doing this is like sending out X amount of invitations and no one turning up to the party. And I'm not saying this is a party. I could have used any analogy, truly. I'm trying to have it so that it's not in my face, the glare in my glasses. Anyway, I'm kind of going to sound repetitive, but if anything, I'm just wanting to reiterate my reasons for doing this. I hear so much about mental health. I hear so much about especially famous people that have had depression and are now over it and often running their fine. I just find that very hard to believe. Yes, some people are fortunate enough to be able to get some stuff out of their system and find a balanced life, which kudos to you. I think that's absolutely fantastic. When I first started doing the podcasts, I had so many people sending me fixer-uppers, Band-Aids, not as in actual virtual Band-Aids, but, doing chants and, you just make that choice and off you go. And, well, I'm sorry, guys, but that just doesn't work with me. It doesn't. I've had this shit all my life. For 30 fucking years, I got the count wrong. Last year I thought I was 33, but it wasn't. I was 32 years sober this year. Just a fortnight back. And my 2 boys that do talk to me, they just looked at me and went, "Wow, Mum, that's pretty cool. How do you do that?" And I said, "I just don't drink. I just don't drink. And I just don't take those drugs. I just stick to what the doctor tells me, and that's it. And sometimes I take less than what the doctor suggests for me to take, which is great." And I've kind of gone off track there a bit. But I started to do this, because it helps me. I'm in a position that I can't always get to. What I used to go to all the time is a lot of 12-step fellowships. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not tarnishing them because they are great. They are great, and they really did help me at the start of my recovery. But I got to the point that all I could see and all I could hear were people's judgment. And it nearly sent me insane. I went to a meeting one time, actually my very last meeting. I was verbally, I suppose in a way I could say, verbally attacked for 3 different things for something that I had not done. And one was for the length of time that I spoke, because the chairperson wanted everyone to speak for 3 minutes each, which meant everyone got a share. Now, I didn't know that. No one told me that. I was late to the meeting. Whatever I was doing, I was late to the meeting. No one told me that. I just got up. And I don't fix it in my head what I'm going to say when I go. It's like this here. I don't write down and this is what I'm going to do. I just, I don't know, try and sit quietly and just let it come. Let that, whatever needs to be shared, I just let it come out. I've run into 2 or 3 members, several members actually over the years. And honestly, and I know I've shared about this previous, but I just wanted to touch on it again. It's like this certain look people get about them, and they're just itching to ask you, did you pick up a drink or a drug? Just itching. And I can bet my bottom dollar that somewhere along that 3 to 5 minute conversation, it will pop up. Did you drink? Did you have a drug of some sort? No, I didn't. Or a really good one that got me, and I was so fucking pissed off with this because I've seen it done to new members time and time again. How's your relationship with God? Well, it's no one's fucking business. No one's business. And I let this person, yes, we're friends, and I said to him, yeah, well, from a friend's perspective, don't ever fucking ask me that again, because it's none of your business. And to me, for someone to ask me or ask anyone else that, they are putting themselves right up here above you, and you're down here. You're way down the bottom here. And that is not the way any 12-step fellowship is meant to be. It's not. Whether it be in a meeting or not in a meeting. I've had a couple of thoughts here and there. Maybe I could go back to a few meetings, day meetings. I don't specifically like going out of an evening. I don't know, call it age, I don't know. But I've sort of gone to go to the meetings, and in the last moment it's like, you know what, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't walk through that door. Didn't want to walk through the door, and I couldn't. It's something that happens with me before I even get in the car to go in town to go to the meetings. I have massive anxiety, massive. Yesterday I had a medical appointment that I needed to be at, and I'd made it for mid-afternoon, and the surgery rang me and said, do you mind coming in just a couple of hours early? It was like, no problem. But I didn't time myself very well. I've been working really hard on trying to get places on time. I don't ever think, it's not my forte, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to get there with it. But anyway, I did the right thing. I rang and said to them I'll be late. But it was so hard to get out that door. That's why I was late. It's because I couldn't get out the bloody door. Yes, trying to get organised. But realistically, it only took me 3 minutes to get organised because I'd already had my shower and blah, blah, blah. So really I only had to just change clothes and go. I've got a few things that I'm doing at the moment. I'm sort of jumping all over the shop at the moment, but I'm feeling really, really overwhelmed with it. It's paperwork, and when I get overwhelmed, my head races. There's a 2-minute piece that I'm going to add to this podcast. And then there's another 1-minute piece out of a show that I've been watching. And the young boy, teenage boy's got depression, and he's having one of his episodes. And mum's in denial, and dad doesn't know what to do, and his sister, twin sister, is the only one that's jumping up and down saying something has to be done. And I'd like to add those two pieces to this. I don't know how to attach it to this particular video, but I'll just put them on there anyway. This young teenage girl went into this dialogue in her mind, and her anxiety was through the roof. And that's just me all over. Me all over. My son can be here and he can be waiting, and he'll give me time frames. And I know it sounds very controlling on my behalf, but he's become aware that he needs to give me these time frames in a much gentler tone, because I start getting really agitated. Something in here triggers, and I start getting scared. Not scared of him. I've never been scared of my children. It's that thing about getting out that door. And, the biggest thing, as soon as I said that about getting out the door, the biggest thing that stands out for me to get out the door, to do anything, is how much I hate myself. It's the first thing that comes to mind. I hate myself because I can't cope with writing paperwork. I can't. Multitasking is a thing of the past for me. And to think I used to work a professional position, I studied, homeschooled, all of this at the same time. Yes, I was aware of my mental health conditions, but it wasn't at the depth that it was at the moment. There were several things there that happened that raised my anxiety to a point that I couldn't control it, and depression-wise, it dropped me down to a point that still is really quite scary for me, because I don't just feel depressed, I get suicidal. And it's like I obsess over it in my mind, suicide ideation it's called. And then come the feelings of self-harm, wanting to hurt myself. So it's one thing to be aware of that. It's what am I going to do to action something, not to follow through with that, but to not follow through with that. And something that will help me to hopefully calm myself down and balance myself out. Now that might seem really easy, and it sounds really easy, but you tell somebody that has certain mental health issues to do that, and if I'm in what I call an episode or a moment of challenge, it's like telling a fish to fucking breathe out of water, tell me to breathe with my head in the bloody water. That's about as far as I get with that. I have lived my entire fucking life scared. Absolutely fucking petrified. When I was younger, I'd go to bed petrified. When I'd wake up, the first thing in my mind would be, oh, fuck, I'm awake. Because I never wanted to be alive when I was younger because of the shit that went on. But I've spoken all about this stuff and I don't really know why I'm reiterating it. I just am for the moment. Maybe there's obviously a reason for it and it'll pop up sooner or later. I know why I'm talking about it. I've just watched the first 5 minutes of a show on TV. It's child influencers, and where these families have got their podcast or whatever it is, and they are making so much fucking money, and they're videoing their kids, and yeah, it's cute. It's cute. I'm at a point within myself, money-wise, that some days I'll only eat one meal a day because that's all I can afford. The price hike in everything has been absolutely astronomical. Yep, I got solar panels put on 15 months ago. 15 months ago. And I've copped $1,000 bills each quarter. I've never in my life had a $1,000 bill, period. Now, I've been paying my own way since I was 19, 20, and I'm 57 at the moment. And never once, even when my four boys and my boy's father were all under the same roof, never did we ever have a $1,000 bill or anywhere close to it. Yesterday, I went to the supermarket. Tomatoes, $12.50 for just Trust tomatoes, and then $13.50 for this other brand of Roma or whatever brand of tomatoes it is, or type style. I'm not buying a tomato. Like, fuck, I found the little bloody, the little vine ones that were marked from $5 down to $3 because they've got, 3 days date in them. Have a look at them. There's no mould, there's no squishy spots, so I'll bring that one home and that's what I'll have. They're the things that I've got to do so I can get by. And I had to do that shit too when the kids were little. Yeah, sometimes life can be a bloody shit fight. What has all that got to do with mental health? Over the years, it has worn me down. It has truly worn me down. Now, in the last 10 years has probably been, I would have to say, the most challenging, the most humiliating, the most embarrassing 10 to 12 years of my life ever. And the shame and the embarrassment, the degradation that has gone along with that, it has taken me to a point that I can't even stand looking at myself in the mirror. I can't, and it's nothing that I've done. I'll tell you that now. It's nothing that I did or that I stirred. And no, I don't want to stay on that fucking subject because I'm fucking over it. What I need to keep talking about is how it affected me and how it still affects my life today. It just smashed me apart inside, and I have got no fucking idea, nor do I believe for one moment that I will ever get over it. Who gets over losing a baby? Who? No one. No one. And I'm sorry, you got to have lost a baby to understand. It's like the people out there that go, oh, I'm an aunt or I'm an uncle, so I understand what it's like to have kids. No, that's not it at all. Get out there and have your own fucking kids, then come back with something. Find that for your own experience. My mum used to say to me when I was younger, Tony, when you have your kids, you'll understand. You'll understand why I'm choosing this or why I've chosen that for you. And, you know, there were times through my parenting when my boys were living at home that I could just bring my mum in tears and say, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Mum. And she didn't have to answer me back. She'd just listen. That's it. She'd just listen. How does this affect my mental health? It's my eldest boy's birthday in 3 days. He walked out the door before his 15th birthday. Never came back. Never come back. When I had my chance to talk with him, which was just a few days after he left home, I said to him, please can you share with me what my part in this is? How can I change it? How can I help you? You know, to me, on that particular day, we'd had, Dylan and I had had sorry, I shouldn't say his name, but anyway, my eldest son and I had a disagreement, and we had talked it through, because that's my way of living life, okay? Because my dad died hating my guts. He rang me the night before, called me every name under the sun, slut, cunt, mole, you name it, he called me it. And then he died 12 hours later. So obviously there will never ever be any reconciliation there. In fact, he's never ever apologised for anything, so I don't know why I would even think that there could or would be any sort of reconciliation. Stupid thought for me, my bad. But still, that's something that hovers for me. And I've lost my train of thought, which is fine because that goes along with what happens with me. The only thing my son said to me is, Mum, you should have left him earlier. Now, I'm not going to go into names or anything there because that's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. And I apologised. I agreed and I apologised to him. And I said to him, my last words to him were, are we good? And he said, yes, Mum, we are. We're good. But he still never come home. And he wrote me a letter. And this letter had things written on it that I had not said, that I had not done. And for whatever reason, for where I was at, my son left home 3 weeks after I lost my baby, or our baby. And I'd had a nervous breakdown. I just couldn't even get out of bed. So when my son left, another nervous breakdown. What seemed like another nervous breakdown. I don't know what anybody else thinks about not being able to contact their kids. It kills me. It fucking kills me. My youngest son, most beautiful boy, he's 21, he's the most beautiful boy. And so is my eldest. All my boys are beautiful. They've never once had a punch on. Never once when they were younger. Only one time when one bopped the other in the shower. For some reason one decided he could tease the other and the other didn't like it. It went, whoop, got him, fair in the nose. Big squeal from the bathroom, went up, spoke about it, that was it. Never. They'd had their little verbal ones here and there, but that's it. That's my choice of parenting. Deal with things as they come along. Yep, I was probably too controlling, but I've heard every parent say that they did that with their first child. But it really, really hurts to hear the horrible, horrible things that have been said that are not true. Not true. My mum rang me, it would have been 6 o'clock in the morning one morning, and this is not long after my eldest had left. There was a certain piece of writing that had been put on the internet about a certain family that had wanted to adopt our eldest son, or my eldest son, since he was 8. I knew nothing of this, absolutely nothing of this. And this young lady proceeded to write down all this stuff that we had allegedly, apparently done, in which I had not. So I answered this girl as best I could. And no name calling, because I don't get into that. My son tells me it was just a joke, and that was just his excuse. Sorry, I've got a runny nose. He said, it was just a joke, Mum. It was just a joke, in which it wasn't. And my blood nose. That was just his way of excusing what had been said and what had happened. Why am I talking about this Yeah. I think I'm going to have to get off this topic because I get too personal and very, very upset. Needless to say, it's been over 10 years since I've had anything to do with my eldest son, and just several years for my youngest. None of them will tell me why. All it takes is a phone call or a letter to say this is why. But for my eldest boy, I want to wish you a really beautiful birthday. I've done that in my prayers for the last 10 years because I really didn't think that you would have answered or opened an envelope. To me, to be able to move through any of that, I think a sit down and a chat, not about blame, no pointing the fingers, just a sit down and a chat, I think would do the world of good. It seems that everything that has come my way, nearly all my life, has always ended up in trash talk about me. When I was younger, I would never do that about other people. And a friend of mine at school, she'd had a fallout with one of her other friends. And she said to me one day, do you know why I like hanging around with you, Tony? And I said, no, why? She said, because you don't threaten friendship, you don't trash talk other people, you don't be mean to people if you're not talking to them at that time. And I just said to her that, you know, I have enough meanness happening at home and I just don't want to do it. It's not me. It's not part of who I am. In a way, it was a compliment, and thank you, yes, it was a lovely compliment. It's probably about the only compliment I've had, really. Mental health. I have to keep bringing myself back to mental health. I got on here to share the ups and downs, the ins and outs of mental health, be it good day, bad day, otherwise. And yes, I've shared this a zillion times. When I started watching this child influencers today, these people are talking about earning more money than what they could in a lifetime in one day. One day. And that's just filming, be it their families, be it silly stuff. But one thing I've noticed, it's always happy stuff. It has to be happy stuff. How do we know what really happens when that door shuts? When that door shuts. There's a documentary on TV about that. And the lady's now in jail for 25 years. Something to that degree. I'm on here, as I said, to save my life. I just can't sit here and smile and be happy and give this ad nauseum bloody talk about being happy when I'm fucking not. I've never ever met anybody with mental health that is really happy. Like I shared last time, I've never met anybody that has mental health that is polished. The two just don't gel. They just don't gel. And I'm not a different person when I'm behind my front door. I'm not. I'm the same when I walk out that door to when I'm here. Both of my boys were here on the weekend or weekend previous. And the Sunday in particular was just a really, really horrible day for me. I woke up at all sorts, and by 9:30, 10 in the morning, I was cowed down in the laundry, not because I was scared of anyone, but I was cowed down in the laundry and just crying. I just knelt down and fucking cried and cried and cried. I kind of knew what I was